Cubby Chatter Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Cubby Chatter Podcast. I am your host, Coleman, and today we'll be talking about what Tom Ricketts has to say about this year's roster and what he expects out of it, and the MLB Players Association Executive Director resigns on something that you're going to have to look for yourselves on. Plus more on this episode of the Cubby Chatter Podcast. Now, on that note, let's chat away. Welcome. Hope you all are having a great Wednesday today. There's a decent amount of news. A few days ago, Tom Ricketts had a conversation with the media and answered a good amount of questions. It was about 14 minutes long. You can find the full interview slash questions thrown out there on Marquee Sports Network on YouTube, and I'm sure on their other media platforms as well. But he was busy having conversations with them, and he had a few points that I wanted to share. And then also the Players Association executive leaves based off of a scandal. I'll get into a little bit more about that later on. This might be a shorter episode, but I hope you guys will enjoy. So on that note, what does Tom have to say? Tom said that he is extremely excited for the 10-year anniversary of the 2016 World Series team. Hopes to have another anniversary next year for the 1-year anniversary of a World Series win this year. And also, it is the 150th anniversary of the team. He also made a few key points on where he thinks that this team will go this upcoming year. He said that we should be able to get further, and that's a quote. He also was asked about what he thinks about the Dodgers deferring all of the money and all of that, and how there might be a lockout. And he basically told all Cubs fans just to have fun, enjoy the year, and because who knows what's going to happen next year, if there's going to be a season or not. Obviously, we're all hoping that there will be. But he said that, deferral is an interesting concept. They obviously used it for the Alex Bregman deal. They deferred a little bit of money to get that average AAV down. So he said that, it is what it is. He didn't particularly really answer anything about a salary cap. He said that's not for him to deal with. That's for the other people to deal with. So that's interesting for what he has to say. We'll see what's going to happen with that. I'm hoping they work out a deal before December 1st when the time is up. But like I said, he said the main goal is 2026. He was asked about contract extensions, and he said, obviously, that's Jed's job. My main goal is trying to help out money-wise, basically. He didn't say that. I'm inferring that part. But he said the main goal is 2026 and win now. He also said higher expectations this year. Obviously, the Cubs had 92 wins last year, which didn't even win them the division, which was kind of ridiculous in my opinion because the Brewers had quite a good year. I'm not trying to be the Cubs fan that says, oh, I hate the Brewers, so I'm going to say that they are going to suck this year. I don't think they're going to particularly suck, but they definitely got worse over the offseason. They're building more towards the future. I wouldn't say they're in rebuild mode, but, they traded Freddie Peralta and company and a few other players for prospects, and we'll see how that goes. The Cubs are heavy favorites. A few miles actually have, I forget if it's the Reds or Pirates, ahead of the Brewers, and they have the Cubs 1 and then one of those two teams in second and the Brewers in third. The Cardinals should be in last if I'm assuming right. Their win number is probably going to start with the six instead of where they have been in the past. Do I expect the Cubs to win 110 games this year? No. Do I expect them to win 100? Definitely possible if they play good and the rest of the division is not that good. Because you have to look at the main picture. Each MLB team, let me make sure I got this right. Each MLB team plays how many games against their division opponents? Their division opponents. Boom, boom, boom. So each team plays 52 games against their division opponents. Obviously there's 4 teams and 13 games against each. So or 13 games. I don't if I said 14, it's 13. So if you are playing against teams that are not projected to do well, like the Cardinals, that's 13 games right there. So if you can capitalize on that, let's say if they won 10 games out of the 13, obviously that's a bit high because they are division opponents. And sometimes one team could be really bad and one team could be really good, and it really doesn't matter because they're just division opponents. But if we won, I'm just saying, throwing a number out there, I don't think it's going to happen, but 10 games against them, that helps us out quite a bit. Do I think that's going to happen? Like I said, no. But that would help us out quite a bit. So if you can capitalize on the opponents that you play often, meaning your division opponents or teams in the NL that are not as good as they're on the lower end. You need to capitalize off those teams. And the Cubs last year had quite a few games where they blew it against teams like that, where the Rockies, they lost one in September, or it might have been, yeah, in September or August. I forget which one. It was sometime in there. It was at where the Rockies play. And the Cubs won 2 out of 3. That's good that you won the series, but you need to get a sweep there. Because if you win 6 out of 6 games against them, you're on the right track to success. It's all about wins. You just need to win the division. It's all about wins. Get them where you can. When you play against an opponent that is actually worse than you, not just like, oh, they're in a slump. When they are not to your level, you need to beat them. That's how it needs to go. And there can't be, if it's a blowout, it is what it is. But if it's a close game and you lose that, that's an issue because you need to win those games. You really do, because that will help you out record wise and get you past the 92 wins that you had last year. The Cubs, they had at least 8 games that they should have won but lost last year. So that would have made them a 100-win team. So you get, obviously they're going to lose games that they should have won. But if you limit that number and win more games, that's what matters. And you just need to win the division. I shouldn't even say that. You need to win the division and have the same or more win total as last year. Like more, I'm thinking. Like, let's get to like 95. Let's be like one of those teams, like a 95 plus win team. You just got to capitalize off your division opponents. That's my main thing, to be quite honest with you. But sorry for going on that tangent for a little there. He also said, which goes into my point, we obviously, this is quote, we obviously want to win the division. We should win the division, end quote. That is what he said. I believe the same thing. They obviously want to win the division, I would hope, and we should win the division. We're clear favorites going into the year to win the division. This is not like last year. Well, last year we were projected lower win total and we won more, but the Brewers were just good. If things are normal this year, we should be able to win the division by a good amount. There's models projecting that we're going to win the division by 10 games. Do I think that's going to happen? It depends on if the Brewers are having a horrible first half and sell at the deadline. That helps us out even more. But that's just the goal. And obviously, I'm going to have so many, it's going to be a video every single weekday covering projections and what I think they need to do to keep up their success. So if they're playing against like the Rockies, for example, I might say, in all reality, we're probably going to win 2 out of 3 games, but we should, if we want to get to sweep. Or sometimes I might even say we should get the sweep in general. But like I said, I keep on going on a tangent because that is just the main goal. So if you take anything out of this, that's the main thing. Um, he said, enjoy the season as fans. He wants to pay back the fans with wins and experiences like we had in the playoffs because my God, I went to the September or October, or no, it was September 28th game. I think it was the first game of the Padre series, and I went to that with, and it was the environment there is actually, it was ridiculous. Um, I don't go to playoff games a lot, so that was like a real big change for me. That was absolutely crazy, and the fans were even more crazy during the Brewer series. So that we want more of that, and we want a lot of that. He basically said. I also met Tom on the on the first game of the Padres series. Nice guy, and I think a lot of fans were saying hi to him and saying thank you so much. Everyone in my vicinity was saying thank you to him, and I'm hoping that he really gets the message, and it sounds like he does, that the Cubs fans want wins and they want to make a World Series, get a World Series win, and add to the World Series win total and keep that going year after year. And hopefully he gets an idea of that. And like I said, it sounds like he does. There was lots of renovations. I don't know if this was this year or last year. Lots of renovations to the Arizona training area, not Sloan Park. The training area itself got a lot of renovations. It looks really nice. He toured it while he was there. How went out a few days ago, and from what I saw, it looks absolutely amazing. They have a lab and all of that for, I mean, they have everything there. And he said that hopefully that will also help the players get ready the spring training and for the regular season to start coming up in, now it's coming up in like a month and a few days. So, or well, I should say a month and a half, but got to keep the excitement flowing. And then finally, he said what his main goal, and from the whole press conference, what the gist was, is that he wants to win. He wants to win a lot of games, and he wants to win World Series. He was asked what he's done a lot. Obviously, he has brought a World Series to Chicago 10 years ago now, and he said, and there, he was asked, "What else do you want to do?" And he said he wants to keep on adding to the World Series collection. He wants to keep on adding that. A few other things that he said was he likes Marquee. He thinks that he likes them being independent from MLB with the broadcasting networks. He does like Marquee, and he does like the people that run, or well, the main people at Marquee who are like announcing and stuff. So that's like Boog and those in company, which that is what it is. And that's what he said about Marquee, because a lot of people have been wondering what he would say about that. So next we have the MLB PA lead. Well, I keep on saying leader. He's an executive. He left. This part's gonna be pretty quick because I don't want to be demonetized or any of the above. There was a scandal that is going on with him, so he decided it would be a good idea to get on out of there and be done with that. So that's really all the news with that. Covered all the stuff with Tom. I don't believe. Let me check if there's any news. Justin Steele is targeting a May or June return. Um, and Matt Shaw is likely to start right field versus the left-handed pitchers. Um, and that's about it and then Seiya Suzuki could DH against lefties. BC wouldn't be playing right field. And then I don't know what Balsantros is going to be doing. We'll see what's going to go on with that. He's expected to be back next week from when his visa issues get worked out. So that's about it with the news section. Not really anything crazy. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen. If you could do me a favor and share the podcast with all the Cubs fans you know, leave a review and like in whatever platform you're using, do whatever you need to do there. And that is greatly appreciated. And it helps this podcast out a lot as we're a growing podcast. Now, as always, have a great day and go Cubs go.